Send my email address. Use text.
Well, I called message someone on LinkedIn, but.
All right, everyone, thank you all for coming. Welcome to our PropTech Startup Founder Showcase. I'm your MC, ST, and today we'll be having a couple of PropTech presentations and a special presentation from our judges. I just want to thank you all. I just want to say thank you to, I just want to say thank you to our sponsors, Procopio, and the partner of Procopio, Roger Rappaport. They've been very instrumental in helping us hold these amazing events here at Procopio. And I look forward to having a great evening today. So I just want to start off with introducing David Cow, who will be giving a quick introduction to our judges. So David.
Thank you, ST. Before I start, let me do a quick show of hand. How many of you consider yourself professionals in like real estate space? Raise your hand.
Professional, you mean professional engineers or?
Professional means like a job or business or anything counts as professional. So how many of you are PropTech? Okay, how about the construction business? Okay, not a lot, most of you real estate and PropTech. Okay, so I want to welcome you all to this special startup showcase event, which is focused on construction and PropTech. As you know, I travel back between Austin and Silicon Valley a lot every year. And real estate is a pretty big business in both states in California and Texas. On the other hand, last few years, the cost of construction had increased a lot in everywhere in North America. So it is a great business opportunity to use technology to reduce the cost of many different things in the full life cycle of real estate. Of course, construction is one of them, and PropTech is another one of them. So particular, and I'm not sure many of you probably already know that building a home in Bay Area had rise a lot last few years. Right now, costs like a couple hundred, $400, $500, sometimes $600 per square footage to build a good home in Silicon Valley. That's very expensive, and increased a lot since the pandemic. So how we can use different technologies from software, from AI, from hardware, from new materials to reduce the cost, as well as building better homes for everybody, for our kids and the future generation. I believe there's a great opportunities. So with that said, I want to welcome you all to this event, and we'll continue to make construction and PropTech as a big piece of our community. I hope in future, I know this is not as a popular event as AI, but I hope there are more entrepreneurs can see this is the opportunities. Keep in mind, this is also less competitive compared with other technologies. I hope we can see more innovative startups in this space. Is Roger here?
Roger is in the.
Okay, let's move on. Okay. Next one, I want to introduce a great speaker, and he's a very successful entrepreneur himself. He sold his first company at the age of, I think, 17 or 18. It's a long time ago. And recently, he sold his another company last year, Gummy Cube, to Airship with a pretty sizable, successful exit. He's an expert in marketing, BD, lots of stuff. As many of you already know that customer acquisition cost in real estate is very high. For instance, a real estate agent, how much costs to acquire one customer? Do you guys have any ideas? Like $900, $500, $1,000?
$18,000.
Any other ideas? Okay, James, what's the cost of acquiring one customer in real estate?
Depends on what way you use.
What type of
In
risk?
Silicon Valley, so,
Buying or
buying a home,
selling?
buying a home.
Like a buying or selling customer.
Buying a little bit easy. Let's say selling. How difficult cost to acquire a customer? Okay, a lot of money. Let's do this. Let's give a big welcome to our next speaker, Dave Bell.
Do I drive here?
Yeah, give us 1 second.
Okay, no worries.
Chris Bell, sorry, the Lavender Bell.
Okay.
Yeah, bear with us for 1 second.
No problem. Do I just drive from this laptop when it's up there?
No, it's just gonna put it up on screen. Here's your,
Oh. Nice.
No.
Perfect.
Yes, not right now. Oh, no, it's general.
ABS there. Yeah, you just end the screen. Stop there, and then, Alright, yours is up here.
Great. So, I know when you think about real estate, you talk about customer acquisition, whether you're talking about acquiring, people who are looking to buy or sell their houses for realtors, or whether you're actually selling products in this business, customer acquisition cost is really high. I'm really interested in PropTech. My background is marketing technology. And in the MarTech world, customer acquisition costs are also high. And you also have some pretty significant barriers to entry as a result of that. What I want to talk about is how we were successful, how I have been successful acquiring customers, building businesses in very, very high CAC environments. And talk a little bit about kind of my history, like why am I even qualified to talk about this? Why am I here? So,
Not working?
Work. Hold on.
Just, there we go. And
It's gonna flip through a bunch of slides now. So just a little background. So I've been in mobile marketing and digital marketing for more than 25 years. I've done companies and businesses and products spanning web, mobile apps, been working in this space since the late 90s, early 2000s. Really focused around, in terms of how I acquire customers, search marketing, right? Organic, SEO, SEM, understanding how Google works, understanding why that's important and how big, large companies aren't really crushing you because they have better products, but because they had better blended averages, right, in terms of cost of acquisition, and how we fix that. Personally, directly, indirectly, through the customers that we work with, probably been responsible for more than $1 billion of market value in the last 5 or 10 years, driven only by search and organic optimization. And I've been involved in a lot of different startups. So my first startup was a totally different space. It was a game publisher all the way back in 1999, before the iPhone existed. We had the first downloadable apps on carriers in North America. That was a fun ride. Then I met David, where we were both head of departments at Playphone, where we really enabled people to download apps without being dependent on the carrier for the first time. Built a $100 million ARR business there, sold it to a division of SoftBank. And then my co-founder and I kind of went, on vacation for a little while to try to figure out what to do next. And we started a company called GummyCube. And in GummyCube, we invented something that didn't exist called App Store Optimization. And what that basically meant was, we're going to figure out how Apple and Google stores work, and then we're going to leverage that data to help marketers acquire more customers at lower cost. And mobile's really important for a lot of reasons. I'll get into that in a second, but the number one reason is that 70-80% of internet traffic is mobile now, and it's growing, right? So if that's not an area where you can be discovered, whether you're B2B or D2C, whatever industry you're in, it's going to be very hard to be successful in the future. This is kind of a little stick figure of my co-founder and I in Silicon Valley. Every business kind of starts out this way. We were trying to figure out, okay, how does the App Store and Play Store work? What do we call this? And, looked at internet forums, worked with developers that were building apps, and we came up with this concept of App Store Optimization, right, which didn't really exist before. And essentially what that means is we go and we gather data from Apple and Google stores. We look at it, we understand, okay, what do people search for? And when they search, what are they downloading? Based on how store listings change, right? Is there one set of screenshots that converts better than another? Is there one layout that works better than another? So it's all about A/B testing. It's all about learning through data to understand what converts better depending on what your features or demographics are in environments where, just like Google Web, it's a total black box. They're not going to talk about how their algorithms work. But if you have a large enough kind of lake of data, you can kind of figure out what the causes and effects are and how they work indirectly. And once you do that, you can help businesses connect with their customers in much easier ways. And we looked at search inside the App Store and Play Store. There are some early employees of Google that we've done ASO for, and I'm very proud of that, right? Because they're the king of search and web. We built A/B testing platforms for apps, which didn't exist before. And now, since our merger, we can even A/B test inside apps, which is great. And fast forward to 2024, we built this great business. It's been more than 10 years. These are some of the customers that we have, right? So we have some of the best brands in the world that we work for, people who you wouldn't think would just kind of contact you, right? But one of the things that Ann and I, my co-founder, really believed in was that organic was important, right? You're not going to succeed in a MarTech business without really succeeding organically. So that's what we focused on. We wanted to own search optimization. We wanted to really kind of walk the talk that we preach to our customers every day. And so when you look at kind of that group of customers, what we were successful in doing when we built our business was generate 80% of our leads from search. So out of all those logos that you saw, 80% came from search and 90% of them were organic. They found us. We didn't have SDRs that we were paying, reaching out to try to find those customers. And that's what successful SEO looks like. I feel like a lot of people talk about social, a lot of people talk about TikTok, they talk about viral, they might build really good products, but they don't realize customers aren't going to find their mousetrap, right? And in the early days of a startup, even though search engine optimization or organic takes a little bit of time to build up if you do it correctly, that is the only way that you can really prove your model at scale before you have money to invest in marketing. And so we really focused on SEO. And when you look at MarTech and when you look at real estate and property technology, there are some big similarities there. In the world that I come from, a lead, not a customer, a lead, someone who says, hey, I want to work with you, it can cost more than $500. When you look at real estate CAC, generally, and real estate and PropTech, it's a big space. There are a lot of different players in it selling different things. It can be $480 or more, right? And then it's an insanely high number, and it's an insanely competitive market. And that's one of the reasons that, if you're looking at startups in this space, how you're going to find your customers, whether they're B2B or D2C, it doesn't matter. Having a strategy that will work and drive organic leads is critically important. And I feel like every time I talk to folks, they're always asking me, how do other companies do this, right? How do their unit economics even work when they're paying that high of a customer acquisition cost, right? You're looking at your business saying, I couldn't afford every customer coming in that way. Well, it's not more advanced optimization usually. You can do the same things that anyone else can do. Possibly if people have been doing it for a longer time, they've discovered certain things that work better, but probably not to that scale. Some people like to come to me with kind of conspiracy theories. Someone has a special deal and that's why they're getting better placement and they're getting all the leads. That's usually not the case either. That, it's a distant possibility, but probably not. I don't think conspiracy theories about competitors are really, usually what drives business. But what we find is that, when companies are very, very successful at search engine optimization and very successful with organic, the result of that is that their blended cost of customer acquisition is lower. If you're spending $500 per lead on acquiring customers through paid channels, or you have SDRs or sales reps reaching out, but 8 or 9 out of 10 customers is free, right? In reality, you're looking at only 10% of that CAC cost. right? And so all the big companies out there, even if you're looking at real estate, looking at a company like Zillow versus one of their newer competitors who's coming out, they're only winning because they've been successful at SEO. If they had to pay for every lead, if they had to pay for that traffic, they wouldn't be winning. And the great thing about organic and SEO is there's no barrier to win that, right? If you're better at the Google algorithm or the Apple or the Play Store algorithm understanding what your product is about and you can convert very well for your audience, you can win even against the big companies out there. So there's a huge opportunity for startups if you know how to do this. And indeed, when you're looking at product market fit for successful startups that go on past their seed round, this is what they actually did in the background. They weren't sitting there trying to figure out how to make one viral TikTok campaign work. I want to talk at a high level, at least, how we think about that organic journey, right? So there are two sides to that organic journey. One is, what are your core features, right? I picked some random ones that are relative to PropTech, right? Buy houses, rent apartments, estate planning, that kind of stuff, right? And you really have to think, how do people search for those concepts, right? And when you think about the copy you're writing, when you think about the images on a website or in a mobile app, or even how you're communicating when you go to events, it's critically important to align your marketing language with how people are searching for the product or service that you offer. Customers are always going to be lazy, right? Customers are like water that rolls downhill, and if you happen to have a garage with a door open, it's going to go in your house, right? And so you don't want that. What you want is to make the customer immediately find that you have what they're looking for and then bring them in. And it really does matter, right? You could have a conversion rate into a paying customer of 50% if you use the exact search term they looked for, and only 5% if you don't, even if you're saying the same thing. And so marketing today, especially in B2B, especially in sectors like PropTech, is not about opinions and it's not about brand messaging, right? You only have a brand if enough people find you where you become recognizable at some point, right? It's about being obvious to people. And that's what I love about search, and that's how we built our business. The other important thing is conversion. And when we look at conversion, part of it is about what you're trying to sell, but part of it is also demographics, right? If I was to randomly break up demographics in the real estate or the PropTech space, and I was thinking D2C, I think, okay, well, if you're thinking about, people 30 to 50, they're probably buying or selling houses. People 18 to 30, they're probably looking at renting for the first time on their own, right? 50 to infinity, they might be looking at estate planning or something like that, right? But each of those demographics comes from different walks of life, right? They've been exposed to different things, and different imagery and messaging will convert. And believe it or not, the colors that you use in the background, whether you choose to feature, a big Green Acres style estate on the first screenshot or the front page of your website, or whether you feature a city walk-up in New York City, that really matters depending on where your customers are coming from. If you're getting 90% of your traffic from the Midwest, but you're featuring, a New York City walk-up on your front page, you're done. Like, don't even do it, right? There's not a connection there. And that's why A/B testing is really important, because those conversion signals are not only good for you from a marketing cost of acquisition standpoint, all of those signals communicate to Google or Apple or the Play Store or wherever you're participating that you're relevant to those users, and that gets you higher rankings. Poor conversion hurts you everywhere. Right? That's why, again, this is not an opinion-driven kind of thing. Marketing has to be very data-driven. One other thing that I think is important about those demographics, right? When you think about like real estate in particular, right? You're starting to cater to millennials a lot, right? You're starting to cater at the very beginning to Gen Z and in the future to Gen Alpha. Well, 61% of all internet traffic was mobile in 2022. It's getting closer to 80% now. 88% of all mobile time was spent in apps, not websites. You talk to people who are younger millennials, my generation, or Gen Z, and they don't even consider their computer their primary device. It's their mobile phone or their tablet if they have one. They're not going to be researching on the internet. What they're going to be doing is scrolling results of apps as if it's like TikTok, and you have to be communicating the right thing to get them to download your app, or in some cases visiting your mobile website. But even if you're thinking about B2B propositions, right? You look 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, all of these people are in the workforce today. They are going to be searching for solutions to their needs the way that they did when they were kids, when they brought up. Mobile search is going to become bigger and bigger and more important. even for B2B, because that's how the people searching are trained to look for things in the future. And I just want to highlight one thing. Search is even bigger in mobile. You know, there's a ton of traffic on the internet. There's AdMob, there are ad networks, there's social, there's TikTok, all this stuff. In mobile, 70% of all app installs start from a search inside the store. Apple and Google own that, right? That is inside their black box, but you can figure out how it works, which is what we did. So if you want to participate in the space down the road, that's your target market, or today, you have to play in the mobile space, and you have to know how these stores work because they're closed ecosystems, and that's where people, customers live. So just a few takeaways, right? One, you can't ignore search and organic, right? Companies generally can afford higher CACs when a bigger percentage of their customers come from organic lead generation. And ultimately, brands and ideas don't matter if people can't find you. And so you have to be obvious. I feel like so many startups focus on, you know, building their logo first, or having a value proposition and writing that copy to like feel good and differentiate. But if people don't know what you're selling and it's just too much of a brand at first, it's not good, right? Sell the product then becomes the brand. And you know, when you look at established businesses, that organic percentage they get is a baked-in downward force in their budgeting costs. So like when you're saying, oh, you know, Zillow, they're spending, you know, $1 billion on paid ads. Yeah, they might be doing that, but they're counting on 10 times that in return because they know that can drive organic, and they're thinking about how those things work together. The other thing is know your customer and how they search. Do not make customers learn your language. They don't want to learn your language, right? You have to understand how they're looking for what you want to sell. And really back up and just understand what you're selling is not your product, it's your features. That's what's going to solve people's problems. So how do you talk about that? And then finally, A/B test everything, right? Don't go with your gut, right? Understand whether it's an app, whether it's a website, whether you're at a conference and you have a booth. A/B test what's there down to the colors to figure out what gets more people to walk up and say hello. And web and mobile are both important today, but mobile completely owns tomorrow, right? The web is a thing that if you talk to, you know, an alpha, they kind of look at you and they say, oh, wait, you have a computer? Like what was Netscape? Like it's not a thing anymore, right? And so you've got to be on mobile. That's where you want to be. You know, 70% of app installs come from search. You've got to understand how the stores work. And ultimately, whether it's web or mobile, you cannot win if you don't understand how the algorithms work. And so that's something to really think about. Again, media buying's great, advertising's great, fundraising's great, branding's great. But to get to all those places, you've got to get the first handful of people in the door. And that means you've got to figure out how this organic stuff works. Otherwise, even if you get thousands of users into your new product or service, your cost of customer acquisition will be so high, every investor will kind of scratch their head thinking, wait, that's way too high. And it's because the organic stuff isn't there. So anyway, it was great chatting with you. My name's Dave Bell. Again, you can find me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
So you get AI on the screen. Yeah. So again, that's Dave has lots of experience in the marketing and BD world. He understands the difficult and challenges of user acquisition in the real estate space. So I forgot to ask one more question for the audience. How many of you are consider yourself a PropTech startup founder or co-founder? Raise your hand. Okay, great. Thank you. So next, I want to introduce our next speaker. So, Ayat, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
He's a very experienced expertise in construction space, and he's also a partner of a Silicon Valley-based fund, and he did lots of different things in Middle East. So I would like him to introduce himself. Let's give a big welcome of Ayat.
Thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ayat Shammas. I have been involved in the construction and technology industry for the past 30 years. I had transitioned through a few subsectors, from oil and gas to infrastructure to telecom, all with the focus on technology. I have worked in a few parts of the world globally. I've been in the Far East. I've executed projects in the CIS region, in the MENA region, in the US, and parts of North Africa. I have been investing for the past 12 years in technology. A part of my focus is ConTech, e-mobility, clean tech, where I advise a few companies as well. I wanted really to summarize the past year for the ConTech industry. 2023 was an epic year. It showed it showed how the nascent industry, like the construction industry, can transition into digitization and digital transformation in a very quick pace. The AEC tech space witnessed huge investments in the past 3 years. I would say close to $55 billion, and that's only in tech. Few trends marked really last year from my eyes in terms of a tech observer and a tech enthusiast. And two of these trends actually I saw merge together into a single focus area. One is the transition to sustainable practices. The other one is adoption of AI, artificial intelligence, which I saw that one of the, this is a focus of our session today. And it's really amazing how time flies, because I was in Silicon Valley 2021, and I was judging in person a competition in that same building. And I could see how the difference, the transformation between the startups then and the startups we are seeing now. Most of the startups are now focused on AI. And we can see AI being used in the construction industry in so many, in multifaceted aspects. We can see AI now looking at leveraging the analytics to help the construction teams and developers build better projects. It's modernizing the project management practice at the moment. And we can see companies adopting AI to help their managers become more alert about the risks, run quick assessment scenarios, run quick sensitivity analysis, telling them where the project is heading, and giving them projections in a kind of automatic and a spontaneous manner, whereby an engineer used to sit in front of the screen or in front of an Excel sheet and crunch the numbers and see where his project or her project was heading. This is now a thing of the past. We can see AI going into generative design and helping architects design smarter facades and smarter buildings and cleaner buildings. Also, the side of sustainability, as I mentioned, is the other trend, whereby you see a lot of builders using waste material to create construction raw material. Like we're seeing plastics get into the production of cement, bricks, tiles. We're seeing green concrete, we're seeing smart concrete as well, which is being monitored by sensors and enabling lower carbon footprint for buildings. So we are just scratching the surface of these innovations in the construction industry. And 3D printing is something that's being now prevalent across many regions in the world, where developers are doing buildings in that used to take months, they're doing it now in weeks, and with the use of sustainable material. So there is huge potential ahead for the use of technology in construction. And we see from the trends that it's being merged with sustainability to create the best building practices for the construction industry. I can talk for hours on this subject, and I've written articles about them. You can see it on my LinkedIn page, and you can also access my personal website and our fund's website as well to get to know the latest technologies. I would like to thank David also for hosting me and giving me this opportunity to participate in this judging. It's always interesting to see and look at the new technologies. Thank you.
All right. All right, just want to thank Ayad and Dave for giving their amazing presentations. So we're going to have our startups come up and present their ventures. So the first one I'll be introducing is Jonathan Green, right? Coleman. Jonathan Coleman. It's about, yeah, give a round of applause. Set up your thing. Go on.
All right, hi, I'm Jonathan Coleman. I am a real estate broker in Texas. And we started a platform a couple of years ago that helps realtors process these applications a lot faster and a lot cleaner without having to deal with a lot of fraud. So we launched Go for Rent back in 2016, and 2017 we really got going with it, made some changes to it, and we keep innovating the platform based on what realtors are asking for. So our primary market will be realtors. We do have landlords on our platform, but they also bring their realtors with them when they need to process these applications. So like I said, we've been up and running since with this platform since about 2016. Last year we did almost 800,000 in sales. So since 2016 we did about 30% year over year in growth, and we continue to grow. And we just only scratched the surface for the audience that we deal with. We have about 6,500 realtors on our platform. That keeps growing every month.
Do you want to come over here?
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Good thing. So we have about 6,500 realtors on our platform that use our application process every month. So like I said, we have about a 30% year over year growth. Last year we did almost 800,000 in sales. Our projected growth this year would be north of 1 million. All right, so the application process is really tedious. A lot of realtors don't sign up to be leasing agents. They want to be the Vanna White and make the big money and have big checks and do the sales side. The leasing side is a little tedious. The process is different, timeframes are different, expectations are different, and the commission checks are very different. So we decided to take a lot of that heavy lifting away from those realtors and kind of help them out with this process. So we started to get better at processing applications. We can write the lease for them. We can collect commissions. We can pay out commissions a lot faster than their broker can. And we've gotten a whole lot better at catching fraud on our platform. You know, the criminals, their daily job is to get better at moving through processes like ours, and we always find ourselves playing catch up. But we're not a lot better at the realtors catching fraud, because this is what we do all day. Okay, so like I said, we built a platform that realtors can use, and applicants can go to our website and apply. We don't do a whole lot of marketing because we're kind of on the back side of the realtors, working in the backgrounds for them to help them move through their process. So features, application screening is what we primarily do. So we provide the realtors with a credit report with the score, criminal background check, eviction check, and our back office verifies employment and verifies rental history. Believe it or not, that's where a lot of the fraud takes place. People are uploading fake pay stubs, fake ID cards, and all kinds of stuff. So it's our job to kind of help them and work through that process to make sure that when they do approve a tenant, it's a real tenant, that's someone that's going to move in and not damage the place. And then, like I said, too, we also do lease writing for them, and we can process the the commission checks and pay out the realtors for both sides. Okay, so if a realtor wants to use our service, they have to create an account. We have a data feed with the 7 or 8 MLSs that we are currently working with. So once a realtor creates their account, their listings automatically connect to them. One of the things they do like is that they don't have to go for rent and do a whole new listing, because we're pulling that data in. If they want to change the price, they change the price on the MLS, it automatically updates on our website. So once a realtor joins our platform, they instruct the applicant to go for rent and complete an online application instead of providing them with a paper application. So we've moved the entire application process online. Most realtors that don't have a platform like this, they're doing paper applications and collecting money orders and stuff for application fees, which kind of slows the process down. So once an applicant applies, the site will send the realtor a text message and an email letting them know they have a new application. They can go in and view that application process to get instant access to the credit, criminal, and eviction report, and then lets our back office know to start verifying employment and verifying rental history. So our revenue model is that we charge $65 per application. So if there's a husband and wife, they both pay $65 because there's 2 different background checks on them. And then we charge the landlords to be in our landlord portal that we just built. It's $50 a month portal that acts like a property manager for them. So we can step in and take all the renter calls, help out with maintenance, all for $50 a month for those landlords. Okay, product roadmap. The goal for us is to continue to grow throughout the U.S. and add new markets as we continue on with that. Right now, we are currently the largest rental website in Texas. We have more rentals than Zillow does. That's because we have all the data feeds from the MLSs, the major ones, and then landlords come through and list their properties as well. Customer acquisition cost, I'm gonna hit you on that one. It's 0. Because we have access to the MLS, we can pull a realtor's email address down, and we do a lot of email marketing to those realtors. So as soon as they have a home that's on the market, within 3 to 5 days, we're sending them an email introducing them to go for rent, wanting them to use our platform to process their lease applications. So $2.5 million in revenue since 2019. About 120 new realtors sign up every month. Half of them have several listings already. Others are waiting on listings to come live. We process over 1,000 applications per month on average, and every year it gets higher and higher. Our go-to-market strategy, again, for us, it's a lot of email marketing because we have that data. We try to maximize it. And the second thing for us is word of mouth. If you do a really good job for a realtor, they tell all their colleagues. You do a bad job, they tell everybody. So we do really good at making sure that we cater to those realtors that use our platform. Okay, future plans. Again, for us, we want to make sure we do all the heavy lifting for the realtors. So we can actually now take the process from them. Once they have a listing contract, we can do the photos for them, install a lockbox, create a yard sign, and install all that on the house for them. We just built our landlord portal about 3 weeks ago. So we started to migrate landlords into that process. We have about 2,700 landlords in our database. So the goal is to get a lot of them over into that $50 tier for us. We like to try to automate as much of our site as we can. So we're going to start with the income automation. So when an applicant applies, they'll link their bank account and we'll pull down the income data from their bank account instead of us having to do the verification of employment. And then we have our lease guarantor service, which is called rent surety. So for those applicants that are marginal, we can step in as a guarantor for a monthly fee and secure that house for them. If they default on that, then we pay the rent to the landlord for up to 3 months. Okay, I'm going a little faster. I only have a little time, sorry. Our TAM is really based just on the application fees. So that's how we got to the $5.9 billion in total accessible market. Okay, competitive advantage. You see Zillow up there, and you see Go for Rent. You see Rent Spree, and then My Smart Move, which is another platform a lot of realtors use. None of them can do all the services that we do. And that's why realtors like us, because we can provide them with all of these services without impeding on their process, and we don't bite into their commission. So they don't look at us as competition. They look at us as an extension of their team. Okay, testimonials are there. I'm gonna breeze through that and go through that one. So for us, we're seeking 2.5 million, and that will help us grow and expand throughout the country. We want to be the largest rental site in every state that we do business in. So right now, our markets are Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, College Station. We're in Miami, we're in Orlando. We're probably gonna add Tampa and Jacksonville before the end of this quarter. All right, thank you.
Any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're gonna Q&A now? That's fine, yeah, sorry.
Just a quick question. You started operation 2016? 2018,
Yes.
2018, 16, okay.
2016, yes.
So you made how much revenue you have last year? Because you made a total $2.5 million.
Last year was right under 800,000. So when we started, it was a slow ramp up, and then we finally got going around 2019. Somewhere around in there is when it really started to take off
Okay,
for
got it.
us.
Since you have been operating for, my gosh, more than 5 years. So what is your goal to come to our entrepreneur community to do the pitch? What's your goal? What do you want to achieve?
Sure. Funding is always a priority for us, and then networking. So I like to do a lot of networking because you never know who you may run across. You can always collaborate with a lot of different people in a lot of different industries.
You mentioned your customer acquisition cost is zero. I believe that clearly disagree. I disagree as well.
I
So,
disagree too, yeah.
Okay.
so maybe I try to understand that what is the cost for you to reach out to those emails, and what type of facility or team you need to do that?
Sure. So we are in Salesforce. So we use a piece of Salesforce platform to help us do mass marketing. And because I'm a broker in Texas.
Answer very short.
Okay. Because we have a data feed, the email address is in the data feed.
I would be a customer. I was waiting for you to say landlord.
Excuse
What
me.
are you gonna use?
Can you let
Oh, sorry.
speaker speak first? Okay.
And so I was just curious in terms of the value proposition you have to the realtors and the people doing this. Is it more the portal, or is it more the back office services that you're running? And if you were to scale your business, how would headcount have to scale? Would it be proportional, or do you have a way to kind of scale that?
Yes. So again, for us, we want to automate as much of it as we can. So every time we get into a new market, we don't have to worry about bringing in more personnel, which throws your numbers off. So one of the big things that we're doing is the income valuation. So when a customer renter comes through, they will link their bank account, and then that will help us pull down the income data. So realtors will use that to make sure that the applicant meets the 3 times rent amount, because the data will be right there. For those that don't have traditional banking, we have to go through our standard method, which is them providing bank statements and us contacting the current employer. We try to go through the work number, which is a big thing, but their costs are too high. So we decided to go a different route to obtain that data. Did I answer your question?
Hi, Jonathan. Thank you for the presentation.
Yes.
Just a quick question on your revenue figures. You have projected, I think, doubling of your revenue in the next for 2024 and 2025. Can you expand on that a bit? How
Sure.
are you going to manage the COGS and the SG&A? And plus, one more thing I noticed, because the guy sent me the presentation before the call, I think you might have some discrepancies in your net margin figures that you have put in the slide.
Okay.
If you can go to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'll piggyback off the same thing I told Dave. The goal for us is to, as we continue to expand into new markets, is not to bring on any additional expenses. So the goal for us, again, is to automate as much of the process as we can, so where that doesn't become an issue. The cost for us to move into a new market is relatively small compared to the revenue that we generate. For example, with the Dallas market, it costs us $99 a month to have that data feed. But we make way more than that with the Dallas market. Austin is one of our bigger markets. They don't charge us anything for the data feed. So that's how we keep that cost down. Every market will be different, and we have to adjust to every market.
Are you based in Austin, Texas?
No, we're based in Houston, but we do a lot of leases for realtors in Austin.
What about you?
I'm sorry,
You personally?
Houston.
Houston. Okay, you travel back to Silicon Valley this time?
Yes.
I'm based in Austin.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yes, right. So Realty Austin was purchased by Compass. Compass uses our platform. A lot of Austin realtors use our platform. Now they're merging, so we'll have more of those Compass realtors using our platform.
So can you tell me what is your bottleneck for growth since you've been 5 years and you said your customer acquisition cost is 0. This means supposedly you should be able to grow very fast with small amount of money you had. So what is the challenge you're facing?
The first thing would be our developer, because we don't have an in-house developer. He's on contract. He built the platform for us back in 2016. He's based in the US, and that's the guy that we go with.
Just keep it very short. Keep answering very short.
Sure, I'm sorry. The biggest issue is the developer. You can't build a house without a developer, so.
Do you have to be a member to the other MLSs?
I'm sorry?
Do you have to be a member in the other MLSs to get their
Yes.
feed? Are you
Yes.
able by people?
Yes.
By
Licensed
subscription.
people?
Right, that is the process. You have to become a member of that MLS, and then they'll give you the data feed. So I'm a Texas broker, so I did all of Texas myself. I partner with a Florida broker, and that's how we got the Miami and Orlando data feed.
Okay, and how you compensate them? Is it over the table?
I'm sorry?
Is it over the table?
Yes, it is. Yes, absolutely. Yes, it's 1099. Yeah. And then I'm on one of the accounts as an assistant or however we need to classify, so I can have complete access to the data feed, so I can extract all kinds of data that I want to extract.
Okay, that's not a competitive advantage because anybody pay that fee will be able to get it.
Well, yeah, if they wanted it. So the only ones that did it was Zillow. Our other major competitors, they don't have to do with it. So we have it because it's a better thing for us, and it works for our model.
I have a quick follow-up question for that. So just like from a scaling perspective, obviously, you look at companies like Zillow and Redfin, and Redfin has realtors and brokers, but not all of those companies have realtors kind of in them, right? So like, I'm just curious, is your strategy for scaling, in every state you go into, you have to have a realtor to get access to MLS, or are there alternative ways to do that, like some of these other companies have?
No, every one of those companies you just named, they do have a licensed broker for every state, and that is the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for you, it would.
Same process.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Quick question, Jonathan. What's your valuation?
I'm sorry?
You requested, you are asking for 2.5 million, you're raising 2.5 million in this round, but at what valuation?
The valuation we got, it was a range between 6 and 11 million.
Okay, so 6 and 11 million, okay.
Right.
It sounds reasonable.
Three different models, yeah.
Okay, and your EBITDA figures seem to be off because I just take a look at your slide, at your financial projection slide. I think you have a discrepancy there between the EBITDA and the net margin. Just take that offline whenever you can. Yeah.
Sure will. Thank you for that. I'll take a look at it.
Okay, cool. So I'd like to learn more, and next time come to Austin, let's have some coffee. But the business is quite a challenge because lots of competitors to in this sector. I'd love to learn more from you.
Okay, I look forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And so we'll have, our next presenter will be Sissy Wang. She's going to present from Zoom. So let's get started. Sissy, you want to unmute yourself?
Hi, hello, hi. Should I share my own screen? Is it better?
Yeah, do you want to give,
Yeah, I think that's, I think I probably need the approval from you to share the screen.
Done.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks. Let me try that again. Okay, my name is Sissy, and thank you so much for having me today. It is my honor to share with you what we're building right now. So we're building a product called Broccoli, and it is an AI-powered co-pilot assistant team that we're building for real estate agents and brokers. And firstly, just a bit about our team. We are an international team with domain expertise in technology and AI, real estate, as well as startup building. Myself, Sissy Wang, I'm a business graduate from Oxford University, and I have extensive experience in startup operation, marketing, and sales. Just a bit about what problem we're solving for real estate agents. So for agents, real estate is largely a marketing and sales game with high frequency communication that is needed. And here I've just built a communication model for real estate agents. As we can see here, it has leads generation, leads conversion, and the actual deal closing. And up to the point where a lead is converted to an actual client who signs a exclusive agreement with an agent. All the communication here is actually devoted to building the trust with the lead, understanding, what the lead need in terms of their real estate transaction, as well as, just follow up. So as we can see here, the volume of the top of the funnel communication here is really large. However, it is fairly repetitive at this stage until the lead is actually converted to clients. For agents, they spend on average from an hour to 4 hours per day. That is devoted to the top of the funnel communication. So there's a lot of time or money spent in this area. So as we can see, agents are highly incentivized to improve their productivity in this stage of their communication. So the solution that we proposed for agents is an AI-powered sales assistant that converts lead on autopilot for real estate agents. So we engage with consumers or lead directly when they are just curious or interested in buying or selling houses. And in this process, we understand their need as well as introduce what's different about this agent, their team, and educate them about the market. And we take this information, the lead information, to the agents, so that agents they could focus on the lead or the stage of the lead when they need a personal touch, when they're more mature for conversion, which is to be converted to their own clients. And here's what we are actually building in terms of product form. Right now, we're building an AI-powered chatbot that could be embedded onto an agent's website, its social media channels, as well as SMS. And later, we'll also be expanding this communication channel to over the phone from both inbound and outbound. And we take all of this lead information and structure it into an agent's private database. And later, we'll follow up on both the personal as well as on the campaign level with this lead, so that we actually take this process of getting the lead, understanding the lead, and converting the lead to the autopilot for real estate agent. And of course, in the future, we'll also be expanding, what we are helping with the agents from just the sales communication to more tasks in the agent's workflow, but that is not our focus today. And this is just, a demo in terms of, how the process looks like on their website. So we communicate with the leads when they come online. We communicate with the leads as if we're the agent themselves. We pro-qualify the leads. And we promote the agent's personal brand, then structure all this information into the smart CRM and do a full automatic follow-up until they're ready for conversion. We launched the MVP for the sales assistant in early December and started beta testing with real estate agents just off last month. Agents love it. That is the feedback we're getting. So since we launched the beta version in just under 2 weeks, we've got more than 50 agents signed up for the wait list. That is purely from our cold calling outreach. So we cold call people who we never spoke before. And the data that I'd like to highlight here is that about 24% of the agents that we actually spoke to, they're super interested in the product and they join our wait list. We have already onboarded 5 agents manually, and now we're working through the rest of the list whilst also iterating on our beta product, so the process could be automatic. And here's just, a showcase of the user that we've got. So our main users are mainly solo agents as well as agent teams. And they include, the agents from the top agents in the US. The total market is quite huge in terms of PropTech for agents, of course. So the PropTech market specifically target at real estate agents is close to $20 billion by the end of 2030. And just in our stage 1, where we are purely focused on building the AI-powered sales assistant, the projected ARR is more than $200 million. And as we expand to more, AI-powered assistant to complete more tasks for agents. The projected ARR is going to be higher. It's close to $700 million, and that's about 4% of the total market share. And here's just our business model. Although we call ourselves AI-powered assistant team, by its nature, we're actually a freemium-based SaaS product. So we have so the projected gross profit margin is over 45% for a typical paid subscriber. And it's going to be even higher when the cost of using AI is lowered in the future. So we have demo accounts ready if you are an investor who's interested in the space, or if you are, like real estate agent or broker who's looking to, test out products in this way, feel free to outreach to me. This is my contact information so that I could, show you how it works and how to install it for your website and other channels. Thank you. That's all.
Yeah, so just curious in terms of what you're thinking of or how you're going to be rolling out marketing. So I know you've done kind of cold outreach, but just in terms of rollout, where are you with the rollout? Kind of how ready is it to kind of scale if you start getting people who are just kind of coming through your door?
Sure, that's a really good question. So there are different stages in terms of how aggressive we're going for the rolling out. So at this stage, the objective for us is not to grow, but to actually get customer feedback when we are testing out the essential features of a product, as well as iterating on it. So at this point of time, our main, the reason why we are only reaching out to people through cold call is we need to get those early adopters who are super interested in AI, as well as using AI to improve their business. So at this stage, we're keeping it on a smaller scale and just putting the product up to, very close to PMF. Afterwards, the main method for rolling out would be actually community-based, as well as working with brokerages, so that we could leverage on the existing network in the community, because real estate agents, they have a very big professional network, either formally with their brokerage or informally with their referral network. So that is how we're gonna go for the next step. But that is a more sort of like post PMF.
Quick follow-up on that. So what number of initial alpha or beta users do you need for that feedback to be statistically significant for you? Like, are you there yet, or how many more do you need?
Okay, so right now we have about 60 actually agents in our pipeline to be processed. There are different feedbacks that we need, so both in terms of product as well as in terms of like communication. Right now I'm thinking about 300 agents is probably a good figure for us to get the product to a next level, to get the process fairly smooth, as well as just to get like first sort of like a first version of what a scalable marketing campaign is going to be look like.
Got it.
Hi, Cici. Thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting to see an AI model into the PropTech ecosystem. So I have a few questions. One is, you didn't mention anything about your how much you're raising and at what valuation. That's one. The second question, which is actually on your business model.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you run a freemium type model. Yes. So can you explain to me a bit how this tokenization works? How did you actually? I mean, if I join you as a for a trial, what do I get for the subscription? And how do you make money, basically? Yeah.
Sure, of course. So of course, like the pricing model is going to be flexible, and it's going to be changing as we learn more about, what the customer is using it for and what the typical usage is. But basically, the freemium is based off both features as well as the usage. So at the moment, we are basing off the so the COGS for us is really how much the OpenAI is charging us based off the token, and the cost driver is the number of tokens that's being used in each of the conversation. So we just did a initial mockup of like what is because we when we take the visitors from the website or from the text message, essentially what we do is we ask different type of questions as well as answer questions coming from the visitor in order to lead them through the prospecting process. So there's like just a number of tokens that we've estimated, and also the token price that we're taking here is GPT-4, but actually, like we're going to be using a mix of GPT 3.5 and 4, and also in the future will be open to open source, large language models. So the cost would be actually much lower than what we are putting up here. So I hope this answers your second question.
Yeah.
Okay, and in terms of the first question, we're looking for $500,000 as the first round of pre-seed or angel funding. And in terms of valuation, we would like to, discuss it maybe like offline, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, got it. So your $500,000 request is where is it gonna get you? How far will it get you?
So the $500,000 is going to be mainly used for development as well as the marketing trial. So as you can see here, what we're trying to achieve is the AI-powered chatbot here, as well as the front desk. So I'm hoping that with the $500,000, we would be able to at least build up the AI-powered chatbot and also build up the just a scalable model for marketing. Because right off now we're basically using cold calling to get the first batch of early users, but that's not enough. We need to also use the money to test out a few other marketing channels.
Okay, and have you done a kind of a deep analysis on this cost of AI? How much is going to cost you to get you to complete stage 1 and get it ready? Because I mean, I don't know. It seems to me $500,000 is a bit low for I mean, you're just onboarding people now, and it seems it might not cover everything that you need to get you to the first step.
The cost of AI, as in the variable cost of the token or the server cost?
Well,
yeah.
The cost, first of all, you have a setup cost, which you haven't mentioned anywhere here.
Okay.
And you didn't, I didn't see it on which is fine. I'm sure you have a business plan somewhere, which you can share later on, but
yeah,
you need to really take care of everything, and you need to make sure that this $500,000 is gonna reach you to a place where you can start selling, because if you're not making any revenue now and you're just onboarding people and onboarding customers and testing on them, there is no telling how things are gonna go, and $500,000 doesn't just give the assurance that you have enough gas in your engine or enough electricity in your battery to reach you to the next stop.
For sure. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Thank you. So just to share a bit of where we are at, we have already built up the platform for the AI chatbot. So just off this week, we are integrating the AI API into the product. So probably sometime next week, people will be able to use it, automatically to set up their own chatbot. But you're fairly correct. Maybe it's a bit low for us to reach to the point where we really want it. We want it to be a bit conservative, not like over raising, so that we can really be lean to get to the PMF point. But that's a really good point. So I'll do a double verification in terms of like what we want, and maybe like build more buffer for the next stage. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
Yes.
so, I have one question. Looks like you created this company a few months ago, based on ChatGPT seems in one of your core models. But now, as you can see, that last few days or last few weeks, the Silicon Valley has lots of news about new AI evolution here. So how the next by the time you spend your $500,000, how assume the next generation of the AI is already in place. How will that impact your model? That's my first question. On the second question, same time, so you can think about that. So cold calling is a very high cost customer acquisition. So if you're doing cold calling, this means that probably your team does not have enough context in the real estate. I'm just thinking a lot. So you need. I'm just thinking you really need to understand the value of your lead generation. You need a far more effective way to test online instead of cold calling. Just a thought. So far, I would say that cold calling result is not conclusive. People intend to more positively if you face somebody in person or on the phone. But on the website, will be very different.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. So the first question, I guess, it's about how the advancement of the AI is going to be impacting on what we do. And the second question is something like, which I completely agree with you, which is, we need to go beyond cold calling, although it seems that we're getting some positive traction from it right now. So just to share a bit of perspective on what we think in terms of first question. So the advancement of, OpenAI is actually helping us a lot in terms of what we do. Instead of just replacing, because what we do is we're building an UI user interface on top of the OpenAI in order for it to be helpful for real estate agents. As we talk to real estate agents, one of the biggest challenge that they have is they're really short of time. So by short of time, what I mean is they don't have the time to learn about the newest technology. So it's really the responsibility for us PropTech community to somehow understand what its agents need, and somehow tweak this technology and package it to a usable product form so that agents could use it as a dummy. And that is our objective here. And just give you an example of how the advancement is actually helping us. So one of the challenges that we have in the chatbot is a long-term memory of the chatbot, because we need to try to remember what the chatbot has talked with the customer and structure it into the CRM, which is a challenge here. However,
You can also very short.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Sure. Okay. But just off last week, we've learned that, OpenAI is actually testing out that capability. So sooner we'll be able to test that out. So that's the answer to the first question. And the second question, you're completely right. So we need to think beyond cold calling. Although at the moment, all the phone numbers in the US for real estate agents is public. So we have about 1.5 million phone numbers at our hand right now. And the cost of acquisition, because the conversion is really high, it's about $2 per lead for us. But of course, in the future, we need to think about how we could spend money on the online channels, which is also another reason why we're raising.
One final question or comment, just, think about how you can prove out like real world live cost of customer acquisition, because I think as you go through fundraising, it's really important to understand how you're going to talk about how you turn that crank harder and what it costs, and just have some firm numbers behind that. And two, obviously the environment right now for fundraising is different than it was in the heady days. And so I would just say, how do you have something interesting you're building, how do you monetize it sooner, right? Like the days I think of like seed stage startups going for long periods of time, proving out the product and giving it away for free are gone. And so figuring out how to monetize it, even if it is at a smaller scale, but a repeatable scale, is really important, because I think, to the point that was made earlier, You might have a great product, but from an investment standpoint, even for $500,000, I wanna know how that is gonna help you turn the crank. You know, the way I always thought about it and did it was, okay, well, we've gotta build the product, but have those 2 or 3 nuggets that we can sell early, even if it's not the complete vision, because I need to prove that I have the ability to monetize it and I can talk CAC and ROI early.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you. That's a point.
Yeah, can I ask a question?
At one point in time, I'd like to maybe go for the demo to check the demo, see how it works. But we can talk offline on that and see how we can manage it.
Sounds good.
Go
Thank
ahead,
you.
James. James, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, when you talk with the agent, have you ever discussed with them how many subscription fee they feel reasonable? And also, this chatbot is kind of trying to be assistant for them. And how do you kind of like regulate the questions and also cache the existing questions, all these sort of answers, all these sort of things have you already explored? Can you share some of that?
Sure. I'm sorry, I don't think I get the second question. So it seems that the first question you asked is the pricing reception from the agents. Is the second question about, how do we regulate what type of questions that the visitors ask?
Right. I think with more and more questions posed to you, of course, a lot of questions going to be repeat questions, right? So
Yeah, definitely.
Your answer is going to be also pretty much the same if you don't put the customization based on the region or whatever. Right? So those wouldn't cost you extra money. Just type the question with the answer and cache them. But so have you actually do any experiment to see how much of these distinguished question could be cost you when you sort of reach to some moment no longer has a huge additional cost? That's my question.
Okay. I'm sorry, I don't think I completely got the question, but I'll try to answer. And if I don't answer it completely, feel free to discuss it offline because I'm just being conscious of the time. So the first question, it's a really good question because pricing is something that when I talk to agents, that they would immediately be interested in. Lots of people pitch to agents to sell their products. So at the moment, the pricing that we tell them is that, up to a certain conversations that's happening online every month, because not every agent is investing a lot of their money into online traffic. Then up to a point which we are talking about like about 100 conversations per month, then they can use it for free, but also it would have less features, but beyond 100 conversations, then it would go to the next pricing tier, which is between $35 to $49, depending on the feature that they want. So some of the paid features that agents bring up, including the ability to customize the user journey, and as well as multi-language, because US has like a big Hispanic and Chinese speaking population. And in terms of the second question, I'm not sure if I got it completely, but just to answer it, right now, in the pricing model, we've had an estimation in terms of how much token it takes to finish, like one IF journey, which feel free to check out later. But in terms of how we regulate the conversation, there's a constraint that you can build into the model where if people ask you, like out of the scope questions, you can just tell them politely that we are just here to help with real estate related questions, and at the same time we also regulate the amount of the amount of tokens that's being used by each of the agents if they are free user. So if their visitors actually ask more questions than what's being offered for free, then we would pop up and let the agents to pay for more usage.
Okay, ST.
Very cool. Yeah, just want to thank you all thank you, Sissy, for presenting. And right now, the judges will be in another room for deliberations, just to decide which startup is the one.
No winner, we're going to give a feedback. That's all.
Okay, no feedback today.
We'll give feedback.
Okay, so right now what we're gonna do is open mic. We'll have anyone from the audience wanna come up and give a quick pitch of their venture, and if you're in, yeah, you wanna come up?
Let's go together.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Ralph. Today just got an opportunity to talk about the AgTEch Cybernetics. So at AgTEch Cybernetics, what we are doing, I'm going to tell you three main points about our company. First is the problem, second is solution, and how the market is big. So the problem is right now we are seeing AgTEch Cybernetics is all about robotics. So the market, we are seeing that currently the markets such as B2B industries, energy, oil, construction, manufacturing, and nuclear power station, those are the places human beings are doing a dangerous task, such as like kind of site inspection, equipment monitoring, or like kind of goods transportation, and getting injured, getting radiated, like radiation, and a lot of health insurance also involved on that. So that's the main problem. So many business owners are like kind of suffering because of that problem. So what we are offering is we are building a humanoid robot and bring that humanoid robot to those places and solve their problems, such as goods transportation, delivery, and the site inspection, equipment controlling. In that case, the labors are like $25 and $30 for one employee, and the health insurance included and all of the site attached. And for one company, it's going to make $300,000 for the 2 years. If they replace those people with the humanoid robot, it's going to cost for them $75,000 for the 2 years, and they can work 24/7. They don't ask any food, any insurance. They just need electricity to work in there. And that's the solution. We solve the problem. And at this moment, our traction is we have a functioning prototype with the basic functions. We are transitioning from the prototype to the MVP. In the next 1.5 years, we will start selling to the nuclear power station, energy, and oil, because those are the places ready to go right now in terms of regulation and everything. So, and the last is how market is it? Market is huge, because why we're building a humanoid robot, we don't want to end with the B2B industries, because this is gonna be a next future smartphone or computers, because the humanoid robot is an open source library. It will be for the other companies to install and build their application. If they build one application for the robot as a professor application, that robot could easily go to university and teach about it being a professor. And or if they can build some application for being a medical doctor, they can install the Ford robot that application, and the robot could be a doctor in nursing, in a medical and healthcare, caregiving, caregiving, healthcare, airports, B2B like enterprises. All the markets are really a huge market and a great idea. Of course, we have a big competitors like Tesla and other companies. We are doing our great job in terms of model development and the business model, and the fit of the product on the market. That's distinguished from the other companies. And also, we have a young team and very passionate, and we don't get scared with competing with other big companies. And if you have time and energy, then we could make change in this market. Thank you very much for everyone. And yeah, that was the idea.
Where do we find you?
Sorry?
Like a website or
I have LinkedIn, I have a website, and a pitch deck, everything, and the website is I can share you with you later on after this finished, and yeah, and it's company's AgTEch Cybernetics, and yeah, we operate in Utah, and I'm here to raise capital. And for seed round, we're raising a 2.5 million. Valuation is $11 million, which is gonna give us 70% of equity for the seed round, and it's gonna go next in 18 months, the product is going to be ready to use on the nuclear power station, energy, oil, mining, and the construction manufacturing. Basic application, 5 applications: goods transportation, delivering, equipment monitoring, and data scanning. It's just one of the biggest markets. Like, for example, like a pipe out in energy and oil. Somebody needs to go in a difficult environment. That's a big problem for the market. Robot could go there and scan it and get the information. And that's one of the successful product from Spot, Boston Dynamics. They're using that, but this Spot has a problem, which is it's a dog-shaped robot. If it's a humanoid-shaped robot, environments adapt for the human. If you use a humanoid robot, then we don't have to change the environment. We just have to build the software for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to come up? All right. So yeah, we'll have our last remarks from Roger before we close this event. So Roger, want to come up?
I feel like a terrible host. Come in right at the end, but unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm trying to juggle 4 financings and 2 of them have to close tomorrow. So good news is, seems like the funding spigot's really opened up from the beginning of this year. It's been like crazy compared to last year. So apologies for not being here to welcome you, but a belated welcome. Thank you all for coming out tonight. And I'll have to watch the video to see the great pictures and the great feedback, which I totally intend to do. My name is Roger Rappaport. I head up Procopio's Emerging Growth and Venture Capital Practice Group. So I work with companies from inception all the way through the life cycle, and obviously funding is a very big part of it. So for those of you that are looking for funding or will be looking for funding, I don't know what, David, your experience is, or any other investors in the room, but it seems like this year is off to a very different start, from last year. And in varied sectors. It's not all AI. It's, a lot of different sectors. So I also did a little passion project called Access Silicon Valley, where it's designed really very much along the lines of Startup Founder World to create access to Silicon Valley, to create access to best and brightest VCs, being there, done it entrepreneurs and experts. And so, this flyer on the chair, upcoming event, one of the upcoming events is on the 6th. It's Barry Eggers, who's the co-founder of Lightspeed Ventures. I don't know if any of you know Lightspeed. It's a pretty reputable fund, and we're gonna have some fun with Barry because he's gonna be completely unplugged. It's gonna be here in this room and hopefully very interactive.
What's the date?
6th of March. Yeah, March, yeah. And then also there's a couple of workshops that I'm doing through Access Silicon Valley. One is developing a funding strategy. If you're like most startups, you're probably either in the hunt for money or you will be in the hunt for money. And having a good funding strategy is really important. I was an entrepreneur for 10 years before I became a lawyer. I made every mistake in the book. And the biggest one was funding strategy. I just didn't have one. And that ultimately ended up, significantly impacting my exit. So if you are developing a funding strategy, I really recommend this 4-hour workshop. It's mind-numbing, but I think people think that it's worth it. So encourage you to join us here. Apart from that, thank you again for coming, and look forward to seeing you at the next one. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Roger, and thank you, judges, thank you, the presenters. And so we'll be wrapping up this event with, just want to give a quick shout out to our volunteers, Chris and Damra, right there, give a, especially at the last minute. So, yeah, so our upcoming events.
Judge feedback.
Yeah, judge feedback. Oh yeah, I'd also like to have some feedback from the judges.
You ready?
Camera.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, great. So maybe, Dan, you want to start?
Sure. So I think generally a couple pieces of feedback. and I think that this can apply to both of the startups that we're presenting. So the first one is just, from a customer acquisition standpoint, really understanding kind of what CAC is at scale. I know, Jonathan, you were talking about kind of customer acquisition through email and kind of you were focusing on that. That's one channel, but email is not a channel that I would consider kind of a channel that's easy to scale, right? The response rate can be low, as you know, right? I'd encourage you to look at a multi-channel strategy and really understand kind of how that could help you expand even in the markets that you're in faster and get that growth rate up. Because I think you have, a business that in your market is established, you're doing good work. But how can you prove maybe you can turn that crank a little harder? And I think really focusing on that one channel might be holding you back a little bit. And then, for the, I think, Brokerly, I think the startup was called that presented, I think really interesting concept. I think, AI is hot right now. All I would say is, because it is an early stage startup and all startups are early at one point, so that is not negative feedback and should never be taken that way. I do think it's important to figure out how to kind of run the race of monetization at the same time that you run the race of product. And, having been in those shoes, I know the fear and loathing that can sometimes come with actually trying to sell a product that's very, very early and has bugs, has issues, haven't worked through all the infrastructure problems. But at the same time, it's really, really necessary because, for your benefit, right, from a valuation perspective, it's going to help you in the long term get a better exit for yourself. But also, every investor in the world is going to really want to understand that turn the crank strategy that I talked about. And it's very, very hard to raise money to build a product when you don't kind of have very clear glide path to what that crank is going to look like. Even at some scale, I asked you that question earlier about statistical significance. It wasn't just about the product building. It was about understanding, okay, well, if I could acquire 1,000 customers and I have 2 or 3 channels I'm targeting, even if they're free channels, right? What does that cost and how do I think I can turn the crank harder? Because that's a question out of the gate. If you have a good answer to it, it's going to make your life a lot easier.
Definitely. Thank you so much for the feedback.
Iyad, your turn.
Yeah, thank you. Both startups are brilliant, actually. I'll start with Go for Rent. Jonathan, done very well. It's an established business, steadily growing, which is a good sign, a good healthy sign for businesses. I think your next challenge is going to be how to achieve your growth projection that you put in for yourself, which is you've been growing 30% year on year, and you're projecting next year to be 100% growth, and the year after it 100% growth. So I find that a bit, hard to achieve, considering the crowded market. Having said that, your offering has already proved itself by virtue of having loyal customers and recurring business. So good for you. The business is great, and I think you're doing all the good things. Just a little bit of a market strategy for the expansion, which is going to be your next challenge. Brokerly, Sisi, great initiative. Actually, I am seeing quite a few AI kind of sales assistant, not sales assistant, but I've seen it in the wealth management sector where AI is assisting wealth managers with banks, talking to customers. You're trying to do the same thing for real estate agents. It's very good. However, your challenge is in how to quickly bring up your product to speed. The market is fast moving. I invested in an AI company 3 years ago, talking about mistakes. ChatGPT came and they had to change their whole strategy to adapt to the new reality of the new market economics for AI. So good, you're taking advantage of that. That's a very positive point. To prove your MVP and transfer your free to actually a premium-based business, that's a big challenge, and you won't be able to find it out unless you actually have a product done and dusted and tested. So you have a hard climb going. Maybe a few months to prove yourself. So good luck to you. And
sure,
looking
thank you.
forward to talk to you on the demo.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll give a little bit feedback. So construction alone is like a more than $2 trillion business, and the mortgage in USA is about I think $6-7 trillion business. I don't know really sales. I need to find that number. It must be like I don't know 10 trillion. If loan is $6 trillion, then like property sales probably more than $10 trillion in America. So this is a huge business. I know, of course. So we have less people focused in this sector. So I'm actually, Jonathan, my feedback is that I think your technology can improve a lot, but still you made $800 revenue, $800,000 revenue last year with your current technology. That's quite impressive. On the other hand, I must emphasize that this means that this sector is a lot less competitive than lots of other consumer sectors. So I want to encourage more founders to come to take a look at this sector. I think, Jonathan, your customer acquisition can be easily improved. I wouldn't say easily, easy is overstated, but can be improved a lot, let's say this way. So I know lots of experts, Dave is one of the expert here. So I think there's a lot of things I can take a look at from thesis company. Also, lots of things can be improved easily. But this is not an easy market. On the other hand, not a lot of players neither. So I want to say, okay, I want to thank you all for coming to this event. I hope all the founders find your opportunity to tackle this $10 trillion business. Thank you all. Last one, I know my friends AI and Dev spent their evening time to come to listen to pitches and rather sponsor this event. Lots of effort to put this event together. And I really hope you guys can get some value from this. Let's give our speakers and our sponsors, our team, a big round of applause.
All right, just want to thank you all for coming, and our next event is going to be on the 28th of March here again in Procopia, which is going to be focused more on manufacturing.
And AI, manufacturing AI.
And manufacturing AI. So thank you all for coming and have a good night.
Chris, thank you so much.